Hey everyone, Regal Views here. It is White Weiss Wednesday, which means it's time for my Survivor recap. So, tonight was a 2 hour episode of Survivor, so I actually did a first for my recap. I actually took notes to make sure I got everything down. It's very hard recapping a 2 hour episode because there's just so much going on, especially one like this. So to recap on tonight's episode, it basically follows up with the whole Varner outing Zeke last week, and Sarah and Tai talk, and Tai hopes that Sarah's not mad because Tai comforted Varner, which I don't think he should have. He didn't deserve the comfort at all. And the same Sarah doesn't want Tai to be mad because Sarah thinks that what Varner did was malicious, which it was. And it's very interesting because Sarah comes from a conservative background, but yet she's like been the most vocal about supporting Zeke on the tribe. And the fact that she does come from a conservative background and is so supportive of Zeke, that's just astounding. So I give props to Sarah on that. And his whole tribe still continues to be supportive and there for Zeke. And Zeke talks a little bit about what happened, but he also says, okay, there's also a bigger task at hand. There's the game. So it's that awesome time during the game. It is Merge. Like, just to be on Survivor is just an amazing opportunity, but to make it to the Merge is awesome. So congratulations to everybody that made the Merge. That's such a huge accomplishment. But before they can officially make the Merge, there's a task at hand. One person from each tribe can't participate in the annual Merge Feast, and right away Brad Culpepper volunteers to not participate, and he basically said that's what Monica would do, and that is true. Monica did do that in Blood versus Water. She didn't participate in some of the reward challenges and instead gave it to the other tribe members. So he is staying like true to Monica, and I think one person even said it's like the looking at my notes here. But they said it's like the Culpepper, basically like the Culpepper way of life. And then on the other tribe, Tai actually said that he wouldn't participate in the feast. So Brad and Tai have a talk, and first of all, before they even have the talk, I'm thinking, is there like an idol clue or merge clue anywhere? Because I'm like, if Tai has 3 idols in his pocket, that's like a Survivor first. But no, basically Brad and Tai are like having a talk, saying like where they're at now, and Brad says that the first people on his list he wants to get rid of Haley or Michaela, and Ty's on board with that, but I'm kind of like hesitant, Culpepper sharing that information with Ty because he's kind of wishy-washy. But what was so funny is that Debbie was acting like she was drunk at the feast when she really wasn't. That was hysterical. So when they get back to camp, Debbie listens to what Cochran said on Exile and apologizes to Brad for snapping, and that was nice for her. I mean, that probably took a lot for Debbie to, step up and actually apologize, so I give credit to her for that. And what I also thought was fascinating is the other tribe, which would be the old Mana tribe, wanted to know about the whole Sandra situation and the whole Varner thing, and Zeke actually decides to come out to the other tribe members, and that was very big of him to do because Zeke didn't have to do that. But basically at this point he's forced to come out to people thanks to Varner. But people like they said that was very strong of Zeke. Like Aubrey, I believe, mentioned something like that. So it looks like some alliances are forming with Siri. I keep saying Siri. Cirie, Andrea, Zeke, and Sarah seem to have an alliance, and there's like the Brad Culpepper alliance. He kind of has Sierra in his pocket. Troyzan, Ozzy. So this is the point in the game where obviously alliances are forming, and you're trying to figure out who you can trust. Haley and Michaela are kind of on the outs, so they're kind of thinking of forming an alliance, but it doesn't really work out that well because they're only together. I mean, them two. Um, so, what also happened, which I thought was a nice moment, is that Sari and Michaela had a nice heart to heart. And it was nice because I think Michaela needed that. And Sari gave her some advice saying that she didn't really say that Michaela's name was being thrown yet, but she said that Michaela needs to basically control her temper, and when people try to talk to her, she can't have that look on her face like she always does, like that just empty look on her face. And I agree with Sari. Michaela really needs to keep her mouth shut because that's her biggest weakness in the game. But it was nice. They really had a heart to heart now. They both trust each other now. So the immunity challenge, they had to stand on their toes with a block on their head, basically, and that's a Survivor classic there. Um, it ended up being Andrea that won immunity, so congrats to Andrea on winning immunity. So when they get back to camp, Sierra wants to split the vote because she's afraid that there might be an idol played. She really thinks that Haley might have the idol. And Sierra is saying that, I thought it was interesting. Sierra said, she's played with Haley before and she thinks that Haley's playing a better game this time around. I'm like, where the heck is she getting that info from? It looks like Haley's doing basically the same thing as she did the last time. Nothing. So, let me look at my notes here. Okay. So, Michaela reveals, she feels like she's in the dark, and Haley also feels like she's in the dark in this vote. And Ty basically says that this vote not only matters this vote, but it matters in the future, like basically who you're gonna align with, and it determines other people's games. What's gonna happen, and there is talk about idol play. They're afraid that well, I think it was actually Ozzy who said that he's afraid an idol will be played. So then Haley actually offers up to basically strip down and show that she doesn't have an idol and she also offered to empty her backpack because I think Jeff mentioned something about this is a point where people, look in people's backpacks and something like that. I might have got that wrong. But, Haley offered to empty her backpack and strip in front of everyone, give a pat down. I'm like, what the hell is wrong with her? I just thought that was just, I don't know what's so Haley, but it ended up actually being Haley voted off, and I am so happy because I did not like her, and she threw a hissy fit in her confessional at the end because she's like, didn't people want to go to the end with goats this season? So she went in this season wanting to squash her reputation last season of being a goat. She wanted to be known for her own gameplay, but she did nothing to change that. I mean, she basically said that she wanted to change her reputation as a goat from her previous season, but she basically admitted that she was a goat this season also. And what was also interesting is that Haley was voted off the same place as she was her previous season. She was voted off as the first jury member on Worlds Apart. So, the next episode begins with, Sierra and Brad are kind of have their own little Survivor gang going on. They seem to think they have a strong alliance, and Sierra's kind of like the Godfather, controlling everything. And Michaela and Sari seem to have a strong alliance after their talk, but I wonder if Michaela and Siri would have a strong alliance if Michaela found out that Siri put her name down at the last tribal. So I'm wondering if that will ever come out. Andrea and Zeke are on the hammock also, and they're kind of checking in with each other, saying, where are we at, where do we stand, and they don't think that they can trust Debbie because she said in the past that she's a wild card, or Ty, for obvious reasons, because he's, I don't really think social threat, just that he's very sneaky and wishy-washy. And that's when Zeke says in his confessional that he should get rid of Andrea or Suri, and I kind of get why he's thinking Suri, because she's a big social threat, but Andrea is somebody who supported him with that whole Varner situation last week, and is, I thought we're in a tight alliance, but with Andrea winning immunity last episode, I'm not too sure. I don't think that's the best move for Zeke's game. So the reward challenge, they had to swim out and unhook this net of fish, and they had to then hook the fish. I think they had to hook 2 fish per hook, and they had to lift this big heavy pole with the fish on it and then take it back and then solve a fish puzzle. And the reward they were playing for was basically like a Survivor Spa day. They got a shower, they got to sit in comfort, they got to maybe take a nap or something, they got to enjoy some burgers and apple pie. So it ended up on each tribe, it was a schoolyard pick. It was Sarah, Brad, Aubrey, Michaela, Siri, and Sierra on the one team, and Ty, Ozzy, Troyzan, Debbie, Zeke, and Andrea on the other one. And it was looking okay at first. This is where Ozzy excels at these water challenges, but they were kind of struggling a little bit, which was surprising. And Sarah and Brad in the water actually lost a fish, so they had to swim out and get it. So that kind of, opened the gap a little bit for Ozzy's team. And they were doing great until Andrea and Ty also forgot a fish on the beach, so they actually had to go back and get that. So they lost some time there. So it was, I believe, Suri and Sierra at the puzzle, I believe. And they had a long time at the puzzle. They got the first part of the puzzle solved, but then they were struggling with the second one. And Debbie and Zeke on the other tribe working on the puzzle, and they, it was coming down neck and neck there. And it ended up being Zeke and Debbie who won the reward challenge for their team. And I gotta say, I think Debbie is like the queen of puzzles. She really can rock those puzzles and solve them really quick. So back at camp, they're kind of dealing with the fact that they lost the challenge. And Siri's talking about how she wants to win this for her family, how she doesn't want to... She wants to win this for her family, and she doesn't want to appear weak, and, she doesn't want to struggle for her family. And they all kind of have a moment where they break down a bit, and Aubrey, said it perfectly. It's normal. I mean, that's normal for anybody out there when you're in those situations. What was really funny is that at the reward challenge, Ty started streaking, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was very unexpected, but it was also funny. And then they're trying to convince Troyzan to streak too, but then Zeke is pulling Debbie and Ty aside to say his argument to get Siri and Andrea off, and Debbie hears him out, but she doesn't think that's the best move for her, and doesn't think it's the best move for Zeke either. So the immunity challenge was really simple. You just basically hang on to the pole as long as you can. They had this little perch that they could hold their foot on, but they had to basically hold on to the pole. And it what was interesting is that Ozzy has been in this challenge twice and has won each time, and Sierra was in this challenge once and lost. So Ozzy's really trying to break his record, and it really came down to Ozzy and Ty. They're up there for an hour. I got to give them both credit because I don't even know if I'd be up there for like 5 minutes. And Ty actually dethroned Ozzy and won immunity. So congratulations, Ty, on your immunity win. So that made me think, going into Tribal, if Ty winning immunity, would he then play his idols? I'm not sure if this is the right time for him to play his idols or what, but he's got immunity, so he's safe. So Zeke is, again, trying to convince people to get Andrea or Cirie off. And Sierra tells Cirie that Zeke told her about getting Cirie and Andrea off. So now, of course, Cirie and Andrea are pissed at Zeke and don't want to, they were in an alliance with him, but now Andrea doesn't want to trust Zeke now. And yeah, I didn't think Sierra was the best person for Zeke to tell that to. Debbie actually suggests to Sierra on the hammock, if they really want to make a move tonight, why not get rid of Ozzy? If they really want to see them, with a deer in headlights, get rid of Ozzy. And Debbie is thinking exactly what I am, because Ozzy was up on the pole and he was still making a pitch for people to keep him, and he is a huge threat going forward. I mean, he hasn't won individual immunity yet, but he's like a huge social threat and he can charm his way to the end. So Debbie's trying to convince everybody to vote Ozzy now. And Sarah is unsure who to vote for. Is vote Zeke or Ozzy? Because Zeke kind of going against his alliance and basically going against his alliance, and Ozzy, being, like I said, the social threat he is. And going into that Tribal, Sarah kind of put it good. Jeff asked how everyone's feeling right now, and Sarah pointed out like it's that they're all single and ready to hook up and everything, because this is the point where alliances are forming, and right now they're kind of free agents trying to figure out who they can trust and who they can align with. And I think they said emotions play a big part in the decision making. So Debbie, back when she went to Exile Island, she got her advantage to use an extra vote, and she said to the tribe, I gave up the bare necessities at Exile to have this advantage, which I think was funny because we all know that how Exile Island was. It was like paradise there. So Debbie used her advantage tonight, and it ended up, well, first of all, I don't know how Sierra and Aubrey's names were out there. That was pretty random, but it really was going to come down to Zeke or Ozzy, and I kept thinking there was going to be a tie going on. And sure enough, Debbie's advantage worked in her alliance's favor, and Ozzy ended up getting sent home, and I am really happy. I think these people are voting right this season. I definitely think Ozzy was a huge threat going forward, and I definitely think they made the right decision going forward. Next week's previews show that Andrea is pissed at Zeke for betraying her and saying that she'll never trust him again. And Sarah is comforting Zeke, saying, don't be down because you have options. And because it looked like, Sarah was in this tight alliance, but, Sarah's always open for options. She's always open working with everyone. Well, working with anyone, as long as she said she'll basically go with anyone if they're voting for the person that she wants out. So it should be interesting next week. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week's Survivor. If you guys want to check out Survivor, it is on Wednesdays, 8 p.m. on CBS. I hope you guys enjoyed my Survivor recap, and until next time, stay regal.